Tonight we're going to work on 4th grade math strategies and just try to give you some strategies that you can use at home, or if you don't remember math the way that we're teaching it now, when your child comes home, it'll help you to know what they're talking about. The Common Core standards for multiplication in 4th grade is that students can multiply a whole number of up to 4 digits by a 1-digit number and multiply two 2-digit numbers using strategies based on place value and properties of operations, and then also be able to illustrate and explain the calculation by using equations, rectangular arrays, and or area models. So some multiplication strategies for 4th grade, or for fact fluency, is encourage your child to practice multiplication facts at home, and then these are some websites that you could go to that they could do some extra practice on the computer. Alright, so rectangle sections method is where if your child were to come home and do this, all they're doing is breaking that number down into its parts. So 237, it's going to be 4 times 200, 4 times 30, 4 times 7. They may call that decomposing because you're breaking the number down into its place value parts. Remember that, decomposing? So then it's sometimes a little bit easier for them to do it that way. If they say 4 times 200, they have 800. 4 times 30 is 120. 4 times 7 is 28. And then they just add all that up. So it's a little bit easier way to do it. They can also do the same thing if they're multiplying a 2-digit number. They know that 43 is 40 and 3, so that's 40 times 60, 3 times 60, 40 times 7, 3 times 7. So it's basically the same thing, just breaking the number down into its parts and then adding it up. Adding up your 2400 and your 180, your 280 and your 21, and then you're adding those two numbers together. So a little bit easier way to do it if they're having trouble doing it the old-fashioned way or the way that we've all been taught to do it. Expanded notation, same thing. 237 is 200, it's 30, it's 7. So 800, 120, 28. So we call it decomposing, that's the new word for it, but basically it's just breaking a number down into its parts by place value, multiplying, and then adding those answers up. The shortcut method is basically the way we were taught. 4 times 7, write down your 8, carry your 2, 4 times 3, 12, add in your 2's, write down your 4, carry your 1, 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 more makes 9. So that's just basically the way that we were taught to do it. But sometimes it is a little bit hard for them to learn that method, and so if they can learn, even though it takes a little bit longer to do it with using place value and decomposing, that sometimes is a little bit easier until they're developmentally ready to do it this way. Okay, some division strategies. The division standards for 4th grade is to find whole number quotients and remainders with up to 4-digit dividends and 1-digit divisors. So they're going to do 4 by 1. They use place value, properties of operations, or the relationship between the multiplication and the division fact, and being able to illustrate and explain that calculation again using arrays or area models. They can basically do division the same way, break it down into its parts, okay, build a new section with each leftover amount. 7 will go into 38 5 times, so they write down 500, that's 3,500, they've got 322 left over. So 7 will go into 32 4 times, so that's 280. So they're going to add 540, they've got 42 left over, and then 7 will go into 42 6 times. So then they add up the 500, the 40, and the 6, and they get that that's 546. So again, just breaking the number down into its little bitty pieces by place value. Same thing here, expanded notation, but this time they're putting it one on top of the other. So 7 would go into 38 5 times, so they write 500, and then 3,500. and then they write 4 times is 40, 42, and then 6, and then they just add it up, 546. So that easier way, a little bit easier way to do it for some, especially for some kids who just don't get that whole, I believe 4th grade teaches it, as does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers. So they don't understand that whole divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. That might be an easier way to do it. This is just traditional long division. That's what I just talked about. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. They just sometimes that's just a hard thing for kids to learn. So if they can't learn it, then give them another strategy until they're developmentally ready to do this kind of division.